Hello and welcome to Cutting to the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben and this week I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Yeah.
Pete. I don't think she knows where she is.
I loved that. Well, that was the best greeting she's ever done, I think.
Been a long weekend on it, Claire.
It's been a long weekend.
Don't cry, you'll be alright.
It's alright, we've got Project Stargate to talk about.
Hey. Yeah.
I'll take your mind off shit.
Might put your mind on a whole different level.
Let's hope so.
Blow your mind.
So yeah, Project Stargate, this week's topic. The CIA plan to use psychics as spies.
I was disappointed though when I saw the title.
Me too.
I did think it would be the Stargate's to different...
Interdimensional travel.
Well, you only have Kurt Russell to blame for this.
What, for not really inventing it? Or
No,
finding
for
it?
not correcting the people who made the film Stargate.
Yeah, but that is literally a gate to the stars.
Well, this is a gate to...
That's more Stargate than this, isn't it?
Look, the US have never been very good at naming things.
I'm just saying it was a bit misleading. But it's
Well-
still interesting.
I wonder what the actual Stargate project's called then.
Yeah, they're fucked now, aren't they? Because these cunts are taking this.
Yeah.
For this.
Be like WWF all over again, won't it?
Oh, they think that's a naming rights. Although technically Project Stargate is meant to have finished, so if there is a Stargate program, they could just use the name.
And also, Project Stargate started in the 60s? 70s?
70s.
Certainly before the film.
Definitely. That's it, I think it's the
So
original.
it kind of wins on that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's thank some new returning listeners and then we'll get into it.
I do think, though, if Kurt Russell did the film on this, it would have been a very different film.
Well, the film of this is The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Have you seen it?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
It's not the same though, the book is very different to the film. Anyway, new and returning listeners, El Dorado Hills in the US.
That sounds like a nice place.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's built out of gold.
Well, who can say? I
El
do.
Dorado, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was the city of gold.
Hertogenbosch in Holland.
That sounds like a nice place too.
St. Louis in the US. Lucerne in Switzerland. New City in the US. Melbourne in the US. Our hometown of Telford.
That place sounds like a shithole.
Telford?
Yeah.
Well, most of it. Just not Dolly. Anaheim in the US. Gillingham in the UK. Davao City in the Philippines. Tangerang in, I don't know where that is.
Indonesia?
We'll go with Indonesia. So let us know. Helsinki in Finland. Pender Island in Canada. Norwich in the US. Quezon City in the Philippines. Butterworth, I have no idea what that flag is.
Is that Malaysia?
Could be. Then it's also called Butterworth. Dunno. Rouen in Holland. Frankfurt am Main in Germany. Lewisham in the UK. Tipton in the UK. Falkenstein in Germany. Santa Cruz. Is that Parrot? No, it's not. Bolivia. Wow. Greenville in the US and Des Moines in the US, or Des Moines as I call it.
A very broad listening spectrum this week.
Yeah, though they don't use the word spectrum.
Spectrum.
Definitely not that.
Don't say that.
First thing she says.
So yeah, literally.
Where's my Tourette's?
So, Project Stargate, when the CIA tried to harness psychic energy against the Soviets.
Had to be against the Soviets.
Well, basically, they heard that the Soviets were doing a similar thing, and thought, well, we can't have we can't have a psychic gap.
Were they doing it?
Allegedly, but not to the extent the US thought they were doing it.
But
So-
it's about right, innit? Everything. It was just, you said about everything, can't you?
Well, the Soviets just lied about everything, didn't they? So, no, it sounds, as we said, it sounds like something out of this world, but it is not. The CIA believed the Soviets were looking into harnessing ESP for espionage efforts, and Project Stargate was a multi-million-dollar program launched by the CIA at the height of the Cold War.
I mean, it's crazy if you think about it. $multi-million funded into what is
Extrasensory perception.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's
I mean, if you went to the government now and said, I need funding for this, they'd just laugh you out, wouldn't they?
Or would they?
Well,
See, I don't know. See, I just find it really ridiculous that they spent so many years researching this.
This is the CIA at the height of the Cold War with a pretty much damn near unlimited budget.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do whatever it takes to stop the Red Menace.
But surely they could have come up with the same like, I don't know. They could have come up with the same bloody end result in 2 years.
Oh no, because you've got to train these people and you see the results starting to develop. Because there are some successes.
Yep, that's the strange thing about it. It kind of worked.
It kind of worked.
That was the thing, kind of. It's like, I don't know.
It did to a certain extent.
To the amount of money and time they put into it, it just seemed a complete fucking waste. That's my point. They could have put all that money and time
Well,
into
maybe
cancer and cure.
this is just the
Curing cancer.
This is just the stuff they've released, isn't it? I mean, who's to say that the stuff they haven't released is the proper stuff that did work and it's still going on?
It could well still be going on because, I mean, Luis Elizondo in his latest book said it was still going on past this.
Yeah. Whenever they say that they shut something down, more than likely it's gone under.
He's changed the name.
Yeah.
This is the projects, the research. Once you've got the skills and the people, shut the project down, you just move it sideways and call it something else. So it was a result of rumours about the Soviets that were swirling around in the 70s. The CIA believed the USSR was spending 60 million rubles annually on ESP and mind-reading projects to aid in its espionage efforts.
Is that a lot? Rubles?
Rubles.
Rubles?
Probably a lot. There's a lot for the fucking USSR in the 70s because, you know, you got people queuing for bread, but they're spending 60 million rubles on mind reading. You know, you can't get a car for 10 years. They're spending 60 million rubles. Even the CIA should know that's
They're probably spending 60 rubles.
60 rubles. Yeah. He's got Baba Vanga in.
Yeah, she was Bulgarian.
Yeah, she lived behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah. Well, that was it. Maybe it was just a train fare.
Now, it's unclear whether or not the Soviet Union was actually working on ESP projects. What is clear, however, is the CIA believed the country was and moved to create an American version. So, initially, it explored reading other people's thoughts, telepathy, predicting the future, and the ability to view a place or time remotely without actually being there.
Now think of the advantages if you could do that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you're in a war...
Predict the future. I mean, it's fucking that film, isn't it?
Minority Report.
No, the other one. Where they're fighting the aliens.
Oh, tomorrow... yeah.
They can predict the future and they...
Yeah. Oh, shit.
No.
Edge of Tomorrow.
That's it.
Good film.
Yeah. Great film.
You'd never lose.
Well, that's it, because you go into battle against the Russians. You just go, hey, psychic spy, read the general's mind. What's he going to do in the morning?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Maybe he gets to the point where he's like altering people's minds, and before you know it, you know, the Russians have decided to jump ship to capitalism.
Or there's a meeting between Xi Jinping and Putin.
Yeah, you can just watch in.
You don't have to bug the room, do you? You can just remotely view it and find out what they're talking about.
But see, they've got their own operatives, so they'd probably have like super operatives that would block your mind. KGB operatives, you know.
Psychic Cold War. Interesting. Like 40k.
I've been playing too much Dungeons and Dragons.
While this might seem silly today, it's important to remember the context of the time. In the United States and the Soviet Union, one thing was clear. If one country was trying something new, the other tended to follow suit to make sure they didn't fall behind with any kind of technological innovations.
Which is...
Imagine being the other country, just being like, so where the fuck are we going to start? You know? Oh, fuck.
Well, you round up all the people who claim to have psychic powers and start testing them. It's pretty much it. So your Baba Vangas or anyone is
Yuri Geller's.
Yuri Geller's,
friend of the show.
nemesis of the show. It's alright, because they do test Yuri Geller. Guess what happens?
He fails?
Yeah. Because he's a fucking fraud.
Nice. No.
Well, in 1972, the CIA approved funding for a program known as Scan8. Government-funded research on mind control was officially underway. Technically not mind control, is it? Mind reading. Mind control was MK Ultra, and they'd already done that by this point. So they're doing that at this point. Let's do an MK Ultra episode.
Yep.
So, Uri Geller was one of the individuals experimented on. I'd experiment on Uri Geller with a knife and see how much pain he can take.
Joe, he's never said a bad word against you.
Because he's a prick. Remote viewing research and testing quickly got underway in 1972 at the Stanford Research Institute at California's Menlo Park. Parapsychologists Russell Targ and Howard Puthoff began testing people they deemed, quote, gifted individuals and psychics. One of the best known individuals examined in the first phase of Project Stargate was celebrity psychic Uri Geller, known for his ability to bend spoons. Because that's what
Imagine being known for that.
Because that's what you do with psychic powers. You bend the spoons. You don't use them in any meaningful way. You just bend the spoons, which is a simple magic trick.
I was going to say, if he could bend the spoon that was like sat on the table.
Nobody can't. He can only do it with his hand, but he's
Yeah.
rubbing the stem, which heats it and makes it bend.
Have you ever done it?
It's doable. I've never done it myself. I know it's a doable trick. It's a very simple magic trick.
Yeah.
He only uses a particular type of spoon, the old-fashioned type with the thin stem. Use a more modern one, it's a bit thicker. But you can generate quite a bit of heat just by rubbing it like that, and eventually it will just droop.
But the question isn't whether it can bend, it's whether it's a spoon at all.
Oh, it's not the spoon that bends, it's you.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon. God damn it. So for 8 days in August 1973, Geller was locked in a room while the officials performed various experiments on him to test his supernatural abilities. These tests measured Geller's ability to see hidden drawings, find buried metal, and bend spoons with his mind. As a result of his, quote, success during this period, the CIA concluded Geller had demonstrated his paranormal perceptual ability in a convincing and ambiguous manner. You can tell it was the first one they did because they got everything wrong about him.
Yeah.
The apparent success of the experiments performed on Uri Geller garnered interest in the Department of Defense. However, after the initial test by the CIA, University of Oregon psychology professor Ray Hyman was asked to visit the Stanford Research Institute and personally evaluate the quote psychic. After meeting him and evaluating him, Hyman concluded Geller was full of shit.
Doesn't say that, does it?
Does in my mind. He easily spotted loopholes and inconsistencies in Geller's acts that Russell Targ and Howard Puthoff had apparently missed. So when Uri Geller claims he was recruited by the CIA, yes he was, and then they decided he was full of shit.
After a week of being locked in a fucking basement, getting prodded.
I'd lock him in a basement and slowly flood it with water.
I thought you were going to say prodding.
No,
I was
just
gonna say, I bet
slowly
you
fill it
would.
with water and see if you can hold back the tide, Uri.
Oh, I always used to like him as a kid.
Well, I'm not going to say a word about the mental capabilities of people who fall for Uri Geller, but...
As a kid? You're telling me when you were like 4 and you saw him, you instantly went, bullshit.
Yep.
I don't like that prick.
Yep.
He's lying to the world.
I thought
Yeah.
bullshit just because he was rubbing his fingers.
So I never saw rubbing the fingers. I never saw that. Not until later on in life, but as a kid, it was like, oh, Uri Geller. Not sure why. He can bend spoons.
Good for him.
He's my hero.
Did you write a Jim will fix it as well and complete the cunt cycle?
Well, actually, I actually wrote to Jim will fix it to set me up with a meeting with Uri Geller.
Why, he could have been molested and fooled at the same time.
And I asked for Rolf Harris to be painting us at the time.
that would have been one hell of a painting.
Where's the spoon gone? I don't know.
I can feel it
Where's
bending.
my bottom hair?
Gary Glitter there as well playing the guitar.
Oh, I was just
He
thinking
was the
Gary
one-
Glitter.
he was
I
the
was
one
like,
took- He took the photo.
It's a good job P. Diddy wasn't around at that point as well.
Well, actually,
Was it organised by Jeffrey Epstein?
He was out on an island.
shit, we joke about the worst of things. But we do joke.
That's it.
Any complaints, please send it to www.fuckoff.com.
I stopped paying the thing on that, by the way.
Oh, damn!
In the late 1970s, the CIA shut down its work on ESP and programmed Stargate was moved from California to Fort Meade, Maryland. While initial trials in the 1970s weren't necessarily promising and totally inconsistent, the initiative continued to receive funding from the US Congress. Can't have them Russians stealing a march on us, can they?
No.
This sounds like fun, doesn't it? Real flame.
In 1979, during a discussion of remote viewing in the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Representative Charles Rose stated the programme seemed like a hell of a cheap radar system, and if the Russians have it and we don't, we're in serious trouble.
I do think it's hilarious, though, the seriousness that they must have taken it.
Yeah.
Is it just because we live in different times that in them days it wasn't gullible to believe in all that bullshit?
Well, they believed it for centuries, didn't they? And it wasn't until recently.
It's only as
debunked
science
a lot of
has
it.
prevailed, isn't it?
Yeah.
As science has become more prevalent, it's shown all of the fucking history is bullshit, basically. All these
A lot of it.
myths that they've all become.
But, and again, they did get some results, so...
You have to look at the times. It's Russia versus America. Across the world, proxy wars, standoff in Europe, Berlin Wall. There was a very real fear that at any minute them Soviet nukes would come a-flying. And it was like, well, if they've got it, we need to have it. And we need to have it better than them.
Yep.
That was the mentality.
It still is, though, isn't it?
To a point, although I think that recent years have shown that Russian capabilities are far exaggerated.
Like I think they always were.
I think they always were as well, to be honest, because I don't think they could afford it all.
No.
That's what it boils down to, is that their finances for decades were stretched to breaking. The arms race, the space race, the peace race. You
It
know?
suited both sides. It suited the Russians to lie, con their population, and it suited the Americans to say, look, they're stronger than you think. We need to get all this shit.
Well, who's this coming from? The American military-industrial complex.
Exactly.
So, Operation Grill Flame. Ooh, I could go for a grilled burger out of it now.
Sound good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Remote viewer Rosemary Smith was able to accurately pinpoint the area where a Soviet aircraft crashed in Zaire, today the Democratic Republic of Congo. By far the most successful case within Project Stargate, they said Starflame then, which would have been cooler actually, was one that occurred during Operation Grill Flame when Rosemary Smith located the Soviet aircraft that had crashed in the DRC. She was provided with a map and marked a very specific spot where she perceived the aircraft might have gone down. Map technicians then converted her notations into geographical coordinates, which was sent to the CIA station chief in Zaire. 2 days later, the Soviet aircraft was discovered where Smith said it would be, allowing the agency to extract valuable enemy technology.
Was it not just pure fucking fluke?
How?
They've given her a map, and she's gone, oh yes, I believe it crashed there. Yes, that's where you want to look, yeah. And then
I don't know if she was German.
I don't know where she was from, but she had a funny accent, she had, I'll tell you. She spoke very good English, though.
Yeah. But if you just go, put a blindfold on and spin your finger around and go there, pin the tail on the donkey style, that's a massive chance of you being wrong.
I mean, how big is Zaire? I mean, I imagine it's pretty
fairly
big.
And I'd imagine it's still fairly rural in the 70s.
Yeah, lots of
Did
jungle.
they say,
Lots
look,
of jungle,
here's
lots
the
of
flight
wood.
path it should have had?
No, I don't think they did. It's
we
like
don't know,
literally.
do we?
Well, no, that's very true. But where is it? We could have gone down anywhere.
But even
along
then,
it.
even in a flight path,
They
you've
could
got
have
to get...
had a line of a flight path on the map, and they
I
probably
don't know
would
if-
have.
I don't know if they've had that information because it's not like today when the satellite tracking. It's
I don't know, in the 70s there was still plenty.
There was satellites, but
they still had all the mapping and that.
Yeah, but
and
they're
it was
not
more
looking
likely
at-
to have been a physical
but it's
map.
but in the 70s they're not seeing individual planes via satellite.
Well, they are, no, but they'd know their flight path. If they're going from one airport to another,
They might know where it had taken off from and it was overflying Zaire when it went down, but
if it was an official map from, say, like the airport.
it's not got a big star on it saying last known thing.
But either way, we don't know. It's 50 odd years ago, so who knows? It could have been a map that could have had like that, and she could have just purely lucky
Well,
guess.
well, there's no point in fucking giving her the map if it's got last known position on it, is there? You just go, well, have a look around there. There's no point giving her the map, is there?
But either way, it could have just been pure fluke.
It could have
She
been.
pointed at the
could
right
have been
place.
pure-
Fucking hell.
But if
I
you're
did the lottery numbers that week.
Yeah.
There's been bigger flukes. You know what I mean? There has been bigger
Could be. It
flukes.
could be a one-off fluke.
Somebody's won the lottery twice.
But if
you know
it
what I
isn't,
mean?
then it's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah. But at the same time, there is with something like that. It's very possible it could just be fluke.
I think it's a massive fluke
Yeah,
if it is. Claire?
They should have repeated it, shouldn't they?
Well, we get find another crashed Soviet aircraft.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it doesn't have to be
There's bound to be more than one of them.
a Soviet aircraft. It could be anything, couldn't it?
Well,
Anything
what
of
became of
interest.
this woman? I mean, what? She's got this right. Fucking hell. Like Pete's saying,
Was
test her
she-
other shit.
Was
Let's
she
get it.
used again?
Yeah.
Was oh,
Is she
right,
still
you-
there in the basements?
Joey's missing.
CIA offices. Just
Joey's been missing for a week. Find him, kind of thing. Like his little 7-year-old boy. Where he was last seen
Not
here.
interested in that. They need Soviet technology. Who
No,
cares
but-
about Joey?
No, but she's that good. Surely she'd have fucking made a career out of it.
Well, she probably has a very lucrative one, but working for the military, working for the Department of Defence.
He's probably down the well.
They're always down the well. You don't
Well,
necessarily
learn from
you don't
Lassie.
need a psychic, you just need Lassie. The programme continued to recruit remote viewers after the success of Rosie Smith. One notable recruit was US Army veteran Joseph McGonigal, who became known as Remote Viewer Number 1.
McMonagle.
Moneagle?
McMonagle.
We'll go with that. McMonagle worked with Project Stargate from 1978 to 1984, was involved in 450 missions. He specialised in near-death experiences, out-of-body travel and unidentified flying objects. A typical day of work meant being presented with envelopes and asked to supply information about whatever was inside.
Right, sounds pretty impossible without opening the envelope, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Presumably he must have been getting some kind of result if he's known as Remote Viewer Number 1.
True.
Or maybe there was only, like, you know, he was one of 10.
3. There was only 3 of them.
I don't know, I think if you're being called number 1, it would suggest that you're the most accurate, wouldn't it?
Potentially.
What happened to poor Rosemary Smith?
Oh, maybe she dropped to number 2. Maybe they just double tapped her at the head and dumped her in the woods.
Why would you do that?
Oh, it's too dangerous to be let loose.
She knew too much.
Yeah. Maybe she was found in a remote cabin with 17 self-inflicted gunshots to the face.
Or she was mind wiped. Like
she could have-
Men in Black style.
She could have been MK Ultra
Yeah.
She's actually Mary who lives down the street.
Or maybe,
You know, little old withered lady.
or maybe they worked her to death and her head exploded,
maybe.
like in Scanners.
One of the most bizarre experiments McMonagle was involved in was a trip to Mars. During the 1984 experiment, he was given a sealed envelope containing the information of the planet Mars, the time of interest being 1 million years BC. Without knowing the contents, he reported seeing very large, thin people dressed in some kind of strange clothes, as well as obelisks and pyramids. When he learned what the envelope contained, McMonagle believed he genuinely travelled back in time to Mars. Well, it's an interesting thing to a vision to have.
So they're saying the people living there a million years ago, basically.
Yep, million years BC. So that'd be...
A million years ago and 2,000
Yeah.
years. So basically a million years.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Give or
That's
take.
kind of splitting hairs, isn't it? When we're talking about a million,
Give or take.
2,000.
Yeah. Give or take the odd millennium.
Well,
It seems a bit. That feels a bit too soon. I don't think there was people living there only a million years ago.
well, we have talked about the face on Mars and the pyramids that
Yep.
seem to have seen the Viking landers and various satellites that have taken probes that have taken pictures. So, is it conceivable that a million years ago there was some kind of civilization
Why
on
not?
Mars that built these monuments?
Potentially,
Pans.
yeah. Could have been a visiting colony almost, couldn't it?
Could have wiped themselves out, and that's why Mars is virtually just uninhabitable nowadays.
Could have been the colony that planted us on this
Yeah.
Earth.
That's panspermia, yeah.
Battlestar Galactica style.
Yeah, You know, at the end of that remake, I never understood the ending properly.
Oh, I thought it was fantastic.
That was great, but it's like, okay, we've got this Battlestar, won't need that again, and they just fly it into the sun, and you're like, well, you might need it again.
Because that was the explanation to Earth.
I know, yeah,
Wasn't
I know.
it? That's why
They
did that.
founded Earth, yeah.
They were Adam and Eve, essentially.
But it's like, you might need that Battlestar again.
I would have parked it on the dark side of the moon myself.
Yeah.
Just as insurance.
Just in case.
Don't get me wrong, I did think, like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, just going to fly it into the sun.
We're going to make do with what we've got, our clothes. What are you going to do with that?
And what if the Cylons come back?
Yeah.
What if they find you?
Well, they did come back because they created them again, didn't they, on Earth?
Oh, yeah, well, that's the thing. We did
send you into the future, didn't it? And it showed you.
Yeah, she was
happened
still
on
there,
Earth.
yeah. God damn it.
She
When will
found
we
her
learn?
body. Starbuck found her own body, didn't she?
When will we learn?
Was it actually Starbuck, or was it a different, like a multiverse almost? Slight tangent.
Joseph McMonagle again. The predicted launch of a newly constructed submarine months before it actually rolled from its construction crib and into the harbour. He guessed the submarine will be launched about 4 months later, sometime in the month of January 1980. The satellite photos confirmed this in mid-January 1980. According to Paul H. Smith, McMonagle predicted several months into the future.
Okay, that one I don't think this is that impressive.
Well, I don't know, you're saying, this Soviet submarine's going to be launched, we think it's going to be launched in April, and he goes, no, it's
You
going to
could
be
have read
launched in
that in
January.
Conrad Weekly.
Is there such a thing, like?
There may have been, I don't know. Or he could have had, friends who were spies or whatever, or...
Yeah, there is that, but if
tell him about it, it doesn't... That one...
It's not amazing, this
And
one.
again, how many fucking submarines were they rolling out at the
Yeah.
time? Could have just been a good educated guess.
What about the predicted release of a hostage in the Middle East and a correct description of the medical problem precipitating his release? The information was provided 3 weeks before the hostage takers made their decisions.
Don't see that as concrete proof, really. Again, it's just
Yeah.
like
But that's the thing with this, is it's very... And that's the thing with sci-fi,
Very
it's
vague.
always vague, isn't it? But they must have thought they were getting results, so they keep pumping money at it.
Well, they have got results. They are. He is correct. He did predict these things.
But I think, like any court would kind of say, nothing's conclusive.
Yeah.
No, and this is the issue we're going to have a chat about at the end, is
Yeah.
is it actually real? Is it a thing? Is it possible? All these things are vague,
Is there
but
enough
they're still
hard
right.
evidence? No hard evidence.
No.
And then they go on to say that the only way they would have known is to have someone inside the embassy with the hostages. It's pretty unlikely you would have contact with them, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But again, it must.
You're saying it's luck again. He got lucky.
Well, he must have known about it. Something that was known about. He was asked about it.
I suppose all you have to do is find out who the hostages were. Know that.
Get their medical history.
Yeah.
It's not an impossibility, or you
In the
just
70s,
guess.
I don't know.
You guess lucky on common ailments that you know of hostage.
Well, this was multiple sclerosis, so it's...
That's something that's more
You're not-
hereditary,
yeah, I was
isn't
gonna
it?
say
It's
not-
more of a hereditary thing, isn't it? It's not something you contract in a fucking prison, is it? Or
But it's something that can come on at any time as well.
yeah.
Upon reading of the May 17th, 1987 attack on the frigate USS Stark in the Washington Post, Paul H. Smith became convinced that his remote viewing 3 days earlier of an attack on an American warship, including the location, the method, the motive, was precognition. The American warship viewing session was around 30 pages long, including writing and sketching of ships, parts of ships, map-like diagrams, etc. That's a bit more impressive.
But they didn't stop it from happening then.
Well, I suppose if you like...
No,
I guess not.
They went,
But it's-
nah, I don't believe you.
You've got the location, but it depends how many US ships are at that location. I don't know. It's if he's 3 days before he comes to me and says, I've got this 30-page fucking dossier on... We think... Then again, do you... Here's the darker question.
Yeah.
Do you stop it and see if he's right? Because the only way you're going to get the correct...
Not stop it and see.
So, do you stop it? Do you not stop it and see if the guy's right? That's the only way you know how accurate he is.
Well, you could stop it and foil the attack.
Yeah, but then if that's only you guys, you move the ship, the attack's failed. But are you going to move a multi-million-dollar warship on the dream of somebody? Or no, you're not. But if you let it happen, or it does happen, then you know he's fucking accurate, don't you?
Yeah. That's the way to test it, isn't it? So
You
not
know,
intervene.
Next time he says something, you go, yeah, we'll listen this time.
Yeah,
don't
we'll
you
move
worry."
it. We'll move our boat next time.
What do you think, Cletus?
Oh, yeah.
Is he
You've got to test
impressed?
the theory, ain't you? No.
Are you impressed by any of these?
Not really.
No.
Me either.
'Cause it depends how they're asking the questions. Oh, we believe they've got a submarine, or is it, due to come out in January? Or do you go, what sort of...
We have to believe, don't we, that they put them under test conditions and everything was above board. Otherwise, you're gonna.
Well, there's no
negate
point
the
in doing it,
results,
is there?
yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Should we look at some of the project personnel and then we'll have our little chat? So a key sponsor of the research internally at Fort Meade was Major General Stubblebean. He was convinced of the reality of a wide variety of psychic phenomena. He required that all his battalion commanders learn how to bend spoons. And he himself attempted several psychic feats, even attempting to walk through walls. This is legit. As mad
I've
as it
attempted
sounds,
that before.
this is legit.
I've
No,
attempted to walk
he-
through walls.
his thing
Doesn't
was-
work, hurts.
His thing was that wall was just atoms.
Yeah.
I'm just atoms. All I need to do is rearrange my atoms.
99.9% of everything is space. Sofa you're sitting on, 99.9% of it is space. Empty space. Fucked up in it.
Yeah.
How can it seem solid? 99.9% of it is space. You know that. How does it seem solid?
Well, it's matter, isn't it?
It's to do with how they're lined up and the molecules. But if you get a molecule, 99.9% of it is space, and it's just a neutron, isn't it, with an electron going around it. Remember from physics.
Yeah.
So if every atom is that, you multiply it. It's got to be 99.9% of everything is space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blows your mind, doesn't it? It doesn't make any sense.
I know,
Unless we're living in a hologram.
Don't give me sense of simulation.
Pull that plug out from the back of your neck.
In the early 1980s, Stubblebean was responsible for the United States Army Intelligence and Security Command, INSCOM, which, Army Intelligence and Security Command. That seems quite impressive. This guy's in charge of it.
Yep.
During which time the remote viewing project in the US Army began. Some commentators have confused a Project Jedi, allegedly run by Special Forces primarily at Fort Bragg,
I
with
can't talk
Stargate.
about that.
Project Jedi is where they try to train soldiers to
Use the
stop
force.
the heart of animals by staring at it.
So you use the force.
So the men who stare at goats, they literally stare at a goat, trying to stop its heart, so they could eventually progress that to people. But little
Did
thing,
they succeed?
some dude apparently did it with a hamster.
I think I have seen that film, It does sound very familiar.
George Clooney? I've seen it a long time ago.
Basically, it was like Project Jedi soldier would walk into a room and they'd instantly notice everything. So their perception, they'd know where all the light sockets were, they know where the plug sockets were, they know the furniture layout, and they'd be committed immediately, and they'd know exactly what everything was.
Yeah, it's very handy, I must admit.
So Ingo Swann, originally tested in the Phase 1 experiments at the American Society for Psychical Research under the research director Dr. Callis Osis. Swann's achievement was to break free from the conventional mode of casual experimentation and candidate burnout and develop a viable set of protocols that put clairvoyance within a framework named coordinate remote viewing.
Can I just say, it does look like Rosemary Smith's head did explode then?
Yeah. Burnout, I guess. Ingo Swann apparently saw alien structures on the dark side of the moon during remote viewing sessions. He liked his aliens.
Yeah.
Well, we believe him then, don't we?
Of course. I mean, I just seen Nazis on the far dark side of the moon myself, but that's where they went, isn't it?
Nazi aliens.
Yes. Apparently, though, he wasn't the best. He had two receivers that were better. But he's still one of the most famous Ingo Swann, probably because of the cool name.
Yeah. Better than the next guy's name.
Yeah, Pat Price. Yeah. former Burbank, California police officer who participated in a number of Cold War era remote viewing experiments, including the US government-sponsored Project Stargate and the Stargate project. Working with maps and photographs provided to him by the CIA, Price claimed to have been able to retrieve information from facilities behind Soviet lines. He is probably best to have known for his sketches of cranes and gantries, which appeared to conform to CIA intelligence photographs at the time. His claims were taken seriously by the CIA. So they give him a map. There's a map of a Soviet construction facility. Draw it. And he drew it to where the photos were.
A blank map.
Well, no, it's a map on the
Oh,
they need
right.
a map.
Yeah.
So this is the location, but there's no detail on that map.
Oh, got you.
It's just like an ordnance survey map. Here's a big blob where the city is, kind of thing. We want you to just look at that. There's a construction facility at the docks, for example. We want you to draw what you see. CIA's already got satellite photos, so if they matches it, you know he's right.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. As long as, he didn't have a mate in the CIA that was taking the photographs.
Well, you've got to think that under scientific conditions.
Yeah, I'm
then.
just saying that it might be. Yeah.
In addition to his participation in remote viewing experiments, Price believed that aliens had established 4 underground bases on Earth. He offered reports on these locations to Harold E. Puthoff, formerly of SRI International, the principal scientific investigator for Project Stargate. Obviously, he wasn't taken seriously.
I'm going to say, what happened?
He wasn't. Well, either they know about them and went and said hello, or
And that's the stuff they haven't released.
and that's the stuff they haven't released. Yeah. Ed Dames, one of the most famous ones, one of the first 5 Army students trained by Ingo Swann through Stage 3 in coordinate remote viewing. Because Dames' role was intended to be as a session monitor and analyst as an aide to Fred Atwater rather than a remote viewer. He received no formal remote viewing training, but he used to run remote viewers as a monitor and provide training and practice sessions to the viewer personnel. He soon established a reputation for pushing coordinate remote viewing to extremes, with target sessions on Atlantis, Mars, UFO and aliens.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And he has been a guest more than 30 times on Coast to Coast AM. I love it. I've heard Major Ed Dames is quite famous.
Yeah.
So, you're either going to... I'm on the fence with this, myself.
Yeah, completely. Completely.
For once, I am actually sat on the fence with Mike. Because I think that the amount of time this went on apparently ended in 1995. I mean, that's a long-ass time to be pumping money into something if you're not getting results.
Yep.
20 years.
24 years. If you're not getting what you want, you're not going to carry it on.
But they are getting what they wanted.
Well, that's what I mean.
On them numerous occasions and examples.
But
I mean, there must have been others.
Of 24 years of researching it, you're talking maybe, if there's not many more than a handful of actually half-decent bits.
You know, this is what we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard stuff where they're like, we need you to read a file in this room in the Iranian embassy, and they've come back with the report. Now, how true? We'll never know what that file said, but it must have convinced them that it was something on the money. Multi-billions of dollars over 24 years.
But then you look at somebody like Derek Acora, for instance.
Yeah, he was a known fraud, Pete.
And a lot of these, he was good at what he did.
What, lying to people?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes in this, would he? Because the second he goes, Sam!
Nah,
they've gone,
not necessarily.
oh, fuck off.
He could have adjusted his con, couldn't he? He was a good con artist because he got people to believe him. But
Yes,
he convinced people that he'd be going to these secret locations without any knowledge of the place. He convinced the people that were organising it that he had no prior knowledge to these locations, and he was coming up with all these mad facts from these.
He did
historic
until
locations.
one of the show's skeptics, and I forget his name, but he features on the Uncanny podcast. He told this tale where he leaked information to Derek that was incorrect, who then proceeded to spew it forth
Yeah.
when he got there. So
Well, this is where they tested him, didn't they? And just after that, when they found out that he was a fraud, they got rid of him.
well, the only spirit on that and the fact he was an alcoholic, the only spirits he was seeing were on the top shelf.
But my point is, people can be believable.
They can be, and
it is a craft.
And psychics in particular are very good at making people think what they're hearing is...
Make them very believable.
How do you know it was billions or millions of dollars?
It's the CIA basically. It's just the start of the article. Multi-billions over 24 years.
They started off saying about 60 million that the Russians have been spending.
How do you know they weren't just siphoning money and they only had some...
Yeah, probably were doing that as well.
Bit of siphoning the money and like the whole crew were just Mulder and Scully, two people doing tests over time, you know, and they're just siphoning loads of money.
It was all a front for something super secret.
Yeah, a front for like, you know.
If you think about it, it's alluded to in Ghostbusters at the very start.
Yeah, that's what you know. I was thinking about. Yeah.
Oh, what's on the card? Oh, it's a couple of wavy lions, and he's right, but he shocks him anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you know it wasn't just a couple of people, and it was just all like, you know, all a front for spending elsewhere.
Well, I mean, you're suggesting that they'd be laundering money through this program.
Well, I think they did do that.
Hiding it, and then maybe, you know...
Spending it on something else.
Yeah.
Fast women and slow cars. Or was it the other way around?
Slow women. Is that slow as in movement slow or slow in the head? or both?
I know. There must have been something to it to keep it going. And obviously the fact they kicked out Uri Geller right at the start really makes me believe that there might be something to it.
Yep, I think that, yeah. I think they released only the stuff
they want us to know.
Yeah, and the other stuff is the real stuff that worked.
And for all we know, they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you hear stories of these psychics that tell people where somebody lost was, and there was some kidnapped girl or something, and they've found them, they've done psychic viewing, and fucking... Yeah, it's like, you do hear of it.
Well, yeah, how many detective films are there and the detective's got some kind of psychic sort of intuition? There's loads, isn't there?
There is actually a case that's missed off here where a US Army general in Italy was kidnapped by a terrorist organisation called the Red Brigade, and they got a remote viewer to pinpoint his location, what the hostage takers had weapon-wise and things like that, and they were entirely spot on.
Yep. I mean, technically I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning to thinking this did work, and it still does work.
I mean, can you train people to do it? I mean, that's the thing.
They seem to think so.
Yeah, but can you train anyone to do it?
I don't know about that.
Is it a question of unlocking that third eye?
Do they just need to have a certain degree of intelligence and a certain something about them that tells them...
I think
it's like a mutation. Sorry, go on, Claire.
I think it could be we only use so much of our brain, so they could unlock.
Maybe.
But again,
maybe that's what they've been looking into.
There's
you know,
a big myth with that. It's absolute bullshit. We use all the brain that we need to use. There's no we only use 10% of our brain. Our whole brain is used, but
they could have like a mutation that allows them these psychic abilities only in certain people.
But basically, the myth comes from because of the size of the human brain. There could potentially be, as we progress, because we've progressed from Neanderthal, which were dumb as fook, to what we are now. They reckon that in future we can gain more because we've got the ability and the size, the cavity to fit the brain to create other abilities like telekinesis and things like that. They reckon that our brains work at about 10% of its potential.
Our brains will never get bigger.
No.
Because of women's hips.
What if women just get bigger hips?
Well, maybe.
So they're giving it a fucking good go.
They are, aren't they?
No, that's just bums. Just fucking putting shit in their asses.
What if...
That's why the baby's brain continues to grow after the head and that. Because
it's got to get through
get through the cervix, hasn't it?
What if, you can train anyone to do this, and it's a question of very intensive sort of breathing techniques, trance techniques, meditation techniques to essentially what they're doing is astral travelling, isn't it? Astral travelling.
What were you reading on holiday?
I was reading a few things actually.
Anything to do with like the third eye and anything
Yes,
like that?
I was reading the Idiot's Guide to Thelemic Magic.
It's surprising.
And you know, there's a section in there on astral travelling that says to not expect results immediately. I do meditate nowadays.
You do get those people, like, what's it called, that sleep thing when they can control their dreams?
Oh God, what's that called? I know exactly what you're on about. You can control your dreams. I've tried to get into that as well, but I never seem to remember my dreams well enough, or be in them that much to get that. But yeah, you can basically realise that you're dreaming and control lucid dreaming, and you can control how that dream goes. And when you're next dreaming, when you're having a very vivid dream, try to do it.
Well, normally
try and realise in the dream that you're dreaming, and therefore are in control.
Well, people can be taught to do that, so
they can.
maybe they can be taught to do
Normally
this.
when I do that, I fall out of the sky.
Flap your arms.
Try not
Works
to.
for me.
Because it's normally I'll be flying or something, or I'll land and I won't be able to take back off.
I have never dreamt that I'm flying like that.
I have, like proper Superman style flying.
Don't think I have. Then again, I could have, I just can't remember.
I have to flap my arms to take off, but once I'm sort of off, I can just go, like, you know, really little small flaps with just my fingers.
Or running. If I have to run, and I know I'm in a dream, I end up running in slow motion, and I'm trying to I end up running on all fours because I'm like trying to pull myself with my hands as well on any tiny little bit of grass to get myself faster. Weird as fuck.
That's fear,
But it
fear
happens a lot.
reaction, that, isn't it?
Happens a lot. Like
Anyone ever had the dream where you get into a fight and when you punch them, it just doesn't even fucking...
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Doesn't touch
It's
them.
like you're punching through fucking treacle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like that, and they don't even like flinch, and you're like fuck.
But how weird is that? The three of us. Have you ever had that dream? Right?
Oh, nah, I don't think so.
Pure pacifist.
I don't remember my dreams.
Where three of us have had that sort of similar dream where we've been in a fight, hit somebody, and it's just something like you throw everything you've got, and it just gently smushes their cheek, and you're like, oh fuck.
But nothing ever happens from it though.
No.
Nothing ever comes from it. You normally, like, the next thing you know, you're having a barbecue with said person and...
Yeah.
Like, them on the barbecue, I mean.
No, right.
No.
Dream of cannibalism often, do you, Pete?
Just me? Oh, okay, sorry.
No, back to this. I just think this... Is there a way you can train someone to astrally project?
Apparently so. A lot of people would believe, yes.
It would take months, in fact years to do. But this thing ran for 24 years.
It doesn't even take years. It's all about, like you're saying, meditation, apparently. It's about unlocking your third eye. Once you've unlocked your third eye, you can then leave into the astral projection side of things, go into the astral realm.
Apparently there's a sigil I need to focus on as I do it, but I can't keep my head long enough at the moment.
There's all sorts of things.
I'm just trying to do it scientifically. I want to see if I can do it.
Once you start seeing the multicolours and things like that, that's like the beginning of it. So when you start seeing like multicoloured pulses, that's like the beginning of your third eye opening, apparently.
Well, Mark's got glaucoma of his third
I have.
eye.
But I also...
So he claims...
See, I've done a lot of meditation when I was younger. Like, we used to do martial arts and things, and the old sensei used to do all sorts of different meditation. I always used to have like a funny feeling bum afterwards. It always like made me meditate and go into like a real deep sleep. No,
Did he ever give you a drink beforehand?
Yeah, it was always milk.
No.
Like warm milk, and it always had like a funny taste, tangy taste.
Were
to
you
it.
ever invited to a party at P. Diddy's house?
3 times actually. No, I do joke. No, but we used to do a lot of meditation because it was always good for self-control and things like that, and balance and all these different things. And control. If you can completely control your mind, you can completely control your body. And balance and things like that. That's where it all kind of goes in. And getting in tune with the earth, chi and all that. So it's something I've done, and it's something I've always noticed, that after, say, 10 minutes of proper meditation, you do start seeing shit. And it's never real stuff. It's normally like, it looks like the old, you used to get the old screensavers on the old PCs, and it'd be like, crazy 3D lines kind of warping in and out of each other and things, and colours and like what do you call it, spirographs, that kind of thing. All those weird colours and shapes and that. So from when I've been told about this, it's like, well, is that not just what your mind does
But then
when you're in that?
But have you got to have that gift then to focus in on that?
Maybe
That's where
that
the training
is what it
comes
is.
in.
Yeah, maybe that's the beginning of it. If you recognise it, then you work on honing it and getting to the next stage.
So are you on the fence or are you off the fence?
On it. I'm on it. I'm never on the fence, but I'm on the fence this time. I'm never on the fence. Like with Ben.
I don't believe it.
Fair enough.
I think it would have been used and, like, you know...
How do you know it's not being used?
Because...
I feel it has been used. I've seen
think
Examples
evidence
of it being used, and
recent,
that's just the tip of the iceberg. Sorry,
but recent as well. Like in these, like you see these paranormal programs, and I know half it's bullshit, but some of it you think, oh, maybe it's real. But I've seen reports of people using these psychic abilities to find like kidnapped people and lost people, and so I do believe it is being used.
I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. The examples we've been given.
I don't go for mediums as such, but I think the proper, if you've got someone who's got some kind of ability or who's trained themselves and has developed something within themselves with the proper training and the correct money thrown at it, I don't think there's not much that can't be achieved.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. Fuck knows, but I believe that they can.
Well, for once, 3 of us are actually sat on the fence. And I'm not sure if that's ever happened.
I don't think it has, not once. I think we've maybe had at most 2 people on the fence.
And Claire is our Naismith for once.
Naysayer Claire.
I just don't believe it. You know, someone would have like guessed the bloody lottery numbers, or you know.
How do you know they haven't? How do you know they haven't?
You're not going to tell anyone, are you?
No. Because if I do one of these fuckers, I've been doing it every week.
Because they'd be getting fucking
You can't
kidnapped every 5 minutes.
You can't win it every week and we get suspicious.
Just give the numbers to someone else.
For the 82nd week in a row, Ben Carter has won the lottery.
They'd be getting,
Some people are starting to get a bit suspicious.
well, they'd get kidnapped weekly.
You give
because
a lot.
like what? Someone would kidnap them every week without what lottery
What if
numbers.
you? Well, no, because they're locked up in Fort Meade.
Yeah.
And what if you just, I don't know, give the lottery numbers out to somebody mentored psychically?
Why would you do that?
Well, yeah, you get everything you want. You've won it a couple of times.
I like you. You can win the lottery next week.
You know, you're having a psychic scan about. You see a single mom struggling with a couple of kids. You put the lottery numbers in her head.
That'd be a great gift, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What if you meet 50 people that week that you they all end up winning the lottery? 50 people.
Well, they're not going to a bigger share, are they? I don't know. I am on the fence with it. Absolutely. And we've only really scratched the surface on this as well. To be fair, I mean, could have done like a 2 or 3 part on this.
I've seen a few completely different
Examples.
Yeah. You know, it's only scratching the surface really. I think we need to end it there then.
Yeah,
3 of us on the fence and Claire bring us all down.
Non-believer.
Well, thank you very much for listening. I've been Ben. Don't drink the flavour aid. Don't join a cult. Thanks for listening.
I've been Mike. Thanks for listening. Peace out. May the force be with you.
I've been Claire. Thanks for listening. Keep an open mind, but not so open that it spills out your ears.
I've been Pete. If you want to drink flavour aid, you can. We're not telling you what to do. It's up to you.
Depends if you were Jonestown.
Yeah, not the poisoned flavour, please.
Just don't blame us. If it tastes like shit.
It's a metaphor.